So essentially, I'll be writing from here. Let's see. All right, so very quickly, we'll start with this one. Just a quick review. I know we've gone through this already, but I'll solve it very quickly and then we get into where we I see some of you have started on your own work. It's a good idea. So it's extended to Saturday, right? So you have enough time to ask questions this class, enough time to discuss more next class before you do that. Okay, that's section 2, section 3, unit 2 and unit 3. Okay, so very quickly, we are working on this and we're just going to repeat what we did there. What we are seeing is, right. So a 5-number summary. So we start with the minimum of those. This, right? That will be 10, right? And the maximum will be this, right? So we know the minimum will be equal to 10. Okay, so we have Q1, Q2, Q3, and then we have the maximum. Right? It's kind of clumsy writing. So this will be 66, right? I believe there will be no question. So we'll go ahead and do the Q2 maybe first. And this is just the median, right? How many data points do we have here? So N is equal to what here? Six, not 18. Quite. 18. Okay. Any other idea? All right. So remember that the leave. Okay, let me write it for the sake of this. So I'll be watching this. Right. Remember that the leave, the stem is over here, right? And then the leaf is over here, right? So if, for example, quickly, if I have the number 23 and 56, for example, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Then 23 will be, I'll just write 3 here at the leaf for that 23, right? And then write 6 here at the leaf for 56. So if I have only 2 numbers, then if I count the leaf, I will just get how many I have. Right. So by counting the leaf, you can know the number of data points you have. So if you count the leaf over here, the leaves over there, what would that be now? 18. 18 would be better, right? So 18 would be the correct. Okay, so we have minimum as 10, maximum as 66. So we have 18 items here, right? 18 data points. So the middle of 18, middle of 18 will be 9, isn't it? Okay. So because it's even number, right? So you're gonna take the 9th plus the 10th position, right? And so, by the way, these are the position of where you find the data, which is the median, right? Okay, so I'm trying to get the 50th percentile right now. So if I divide this and it's a decimal number, right? It's a whole number. I'm going to take the next 2, right? Average the 2 that is right at that point. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the 9th value is 60 position, right? So that would be 46. But I want to add the 10th position and divide because this is even. So you add the next one, which is, right? And that is 47. So when you divide this by 2, you are going to get 46.5. Right? But if I have divided this and I got 9.5 or something in fraction, I could round up, to get the next value. So I think we'll see that when we do the other quartile. So here, my answer here will be 46.5. Any question about this? Any person? Let me move this a little. So this will be Q. So to get Q1, right? Q1 is something as the 25th percentile. Okay, so we said we could do this. I'm doing everything manually right now. Okay, we could do this by saying, okay, if I have 9 and 1/2, right? I could find the middle of that 9 data. So I have 9 data points on the lower half, right? And I could find the middle of that. The middle of all that will be the 51, isn't it? I mean, 4 on one side, 4 on one side, you have a clear middle, which is the 5th position, right? So we're going to count from beginning to that position. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5th position will be on the 10th, right? So you go ahead and your 25th percentile here will be Are you with me? So what will be the answer? That will be the data point at the 5th position when we count on here. 48, 28. Okay, so we have 28. Okay. So these are your values. So take note of the difference between the position which you're calculating with this formula and the actual answer, which is the value of the data, right? Okay, so you have 28. We are going to go to 75th percentile. Okay, so what will be the position of the 75th percentile? So remember now you this is half, right? Half is the 9. That data is 18 because I'm looking for the 25th percentile. I'm looking at the half of the first quarter, isn't it? So if I'm looking for 75th percentile, I should be looking at half of the entire. I should be looking at 2/3 or 2/4. I mean 3/4 rather of the entire data set, right? So if I have 18 points, right? 18 data points. Where do you think the 75th percentile position? So if I do this with black, I have from here to here is the 25th percentile, the first quartile. From here is the 50th percentile, the second quartile. Here will be the 75th percentile, right? So if I divide this into 4, okay, we know here that the half is the 9th and the 10th position, right? Those two are in the middle. So we added the value at those two positions and divided by 2. So if we come back here on the first 25th quarter, we know that this will be the 5th position. The 5th position. Right, since I have a total of 18 data points. So we have a total of 18 data points. Okay. So what will be your suggestion as to the position of the 75th percentile?
15.
15. Okay. Any other suggestion apart from 15? 14. Any other suggestion apart from 14? Right. So you're slicing the data into 4 quartiles, right? So if I divide it into exactly 50th percentile half, the position I'll get here is 9th and 10th. Okay, so let's assume on this half, I have 9 data points, right? So if I have 9 on this half, then if I divide that 9 by 2 to get midway into that, I'm going to get like 5, right? Because it's 9 divided by 2 will give you 4.5 actually, precisely, right? So, but I'm looking at 4 data here, 4 data here, then the 5th one is in the middle, right? So that is why this 25th percentile is the 5th position. Now think about the other 9 data points still remaining here, okay? If I find the middle of that 9 data points, that will also be the 5th one on this side. So 2 ways to do this. You can count from the tail here, go back here to get the 5th position, right? Or you can add 5 to 9 to get 14. So the person that said 14 is correct here. So that if you work it out, whichever way it works for you, then this will be the 14th position. Yes.
So when you use the equation and you
Yeah.
calculate it out for the 25th percentile, you get 4.75.
Uh,
Do you want us to round that up and take the fifth number or take the fourth and fifth?
yeah, so take the 4th and the 5th, right? Given the pattern we are doing here, you can also round up. So that was what we were talking about yesterday, that the formula, so all these things are averages, they are not exact solution. Okay, so the formula will give you approximate value, not exact value. Okay, so some textbook will say take this the median, or take the middle position between the 4th and the 5th, or some will say round up. You know, some will say round according to the decimal place. So if I have 4.25, I should round down to 4. 4.75, I should round up to 5, right? So, but I'm going to be presenting here, like taking the averages. Okay, so if I have 4 exactly, I should take 4. If I have 5, I should take 5. If I have in between, I should take the average of the two numbers in between. Okay, all right, but so let's get this done now. Whichever one you do among all these, I'm going to grade it as correct, because these are all approximate. If the number is very large, if I have 100 or 200 or even 1,000 data points, all of these answers will be the same thing. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and do this very quickly. So if I have 75th percentile, so that will be the 14th data point. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That will be 6, right? And so this will be, so what will be the data value on the 75th percentile? 56. 56. Okay, so this will be 56. So I'm going to write 56 over it. All right, so this we got as Q1 was 28. So we have all of this essentially, the 5 numbers. Okay, and let's use the formula to work it out. Okay. Any question on this one before we try the formula? No concern. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the formula. So if we use the formula to find this out, so the value of interest will be the percentile divided by 100 times n plus 1. Okay. So here, let's get Q1 first. So Q1 will be equal to the 25th percentile, right? And so you are doing 25 divided by 100 times n minus 1. N is 9, isn't it? N plus 1, n is 9 plus 1 is 10. Okay. All right. So if you do this, is 0.25 times 10, which is 2.5, right?
10.
Did I make a mistake there?
It's 19.
Is it? Oh, this is 18, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this should be 1/8, and this is 1/8. Okay. So someone help me out to multiply that. You multiply this by 18, what would that be?
Wouldn't it be times 19?
Because it's n plus 1.
So you have 18 data points plus 1.
Okay, we're doing n plus 1 here. Okay. Sorry about that. Things are just. So this will be 19, right? Okay, so somebody help me out 0.25 times 19. Can you say louder? 4.75. 4.75. So here I would suggest using the 4th number plus the 5th number. Okay, and again, different textbooks will recommend different things. But based on the way we're working here, we just go ahead and use this. So if you round up, you should be using the 5th. If you round down, you should be using the 4th. If you find the average, you should be using over this. So if I go over here and find out the number between the 4th and the 5th, the 4th should be 21, right? And the 5th should be 28, isn't it? So if I average this, I'm going to have 21 plus 28. So this will give us, someone help us out here with the average of this.
24.5.
24.5, thank you. So this should be 24.5. So if I do the same thing, I'm going to do Q2 the same way. So I have 58th percentile, and this will be 50 divided by 100 times 19. And that is 0.5 times 19. What else do I have here? Oops. 9.5, thank you. So I'm going to do 9.5. Is that 9.5? 9.5. I'm going to do 9.5, the 9th theta plus the 10th theta. So I'm going to do the 9th position plus the 10th position. And if you go over here, you count the 9th position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That'll be 46. And the 10th will be 47, right? So I have 46 plus 47, and the average here will be 46.5. Okay. And then we'll do Q3 very quickly. That will be the 75th percentile. And then we do 75 divided by 100 times 19. And that will give us 0.75 times 19. Okay, what do we have? Anybody helping us out with that?
14.25.
Sorry, can you say that again?
14.25.
14.25. So you have 14.25. So again, I'm going to do the 14th data plus the 15th data. Okay. And that will give us, so if we go over here and count again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That will be 56 plus the next value, which is this. So I have 56 and 57, isn't it? So I have 56 plus 57. That will give you 56.5. Okay. So if we compare these two answers, so the minimum here, let me use black. The minimum here will remain the same. It's not in question. The minimum will remain 10 and 66, isn't it? So the minimum will, the minimum and maximum. The minimum will remain 10. Let me write the maximum. The maximum will remain 56. But look at Q1, Q2, and Q3. So Q3, of course, we got to be 56.5. Q2, we got to be 46.5. And Q1, we got to be 24.5. Right? So if we compare this answer with the manual one, there could be slight differences, right? Q2 agreed, isn't it? The minimum, of course, and the maximum agreed. Then we have a difference here, right? So this is what I'm saying, like, it's an approximate, but it's not wrong, it's an approximation, right? So if you use another formula, if you use some authors suggest using that your value is equal to percentile divided by 100 times n plus just n, sorry. Just n. Some authors suggest using it. If you use this one, You are going to match Q1 and Q2, Q1 and Q3, but you're going to mismatch Q2. Okay, but all of the formula, whichever way you're working it, when the data set is large, they all converge to the same thing. Okay, right. So I'm going to be flexible when writing this. I have taught you the manual one, that is one I emphasized, right? But if you use the formula to do this, I'm also going to grade it with the formula. Okay, yeah. So just know that during the quiz, the system answer will be wrong. I will go in and manually to update them. Okay, so I will keep this in view for the recording, just to emphasize that. Any question on this one? Okay. So I noticed that scrolling up and down might affect your writing, but if it's on the board, we have it in one place and plain when we are ready, but we're going to try to manage this. Okay, so let's leave this and move on. So we'll cover these two sections at least today. So I hope that clarifies the kind of not so smooth answer we got last time. Okay, I'm going to skip this one because we spent quite a good time on it during a frequency polygon. We spent some time on it last class, so I'm going to skip it. Okay, if we have time, we can come back and do it. Let's go ahead and just answer this one. Okay. This is a kind of repetition of that one. Okay. Of course, when the data set is very large, counting becomes somewhat tedious, right? So, but this example is meant to emphasize the first part. Okay. Second part is just like what we did over there, but it's no longer like Q1, Q2, or Q3, right? So, of course, when I have Q1, Q2, or Q3, I can tell where the quartile is because I know Q2 is right in the middle. I know Q1 is right the other half, Q2 is right the other half, right? But here I have the 30th percentile. So here maybe the formula becomes, kind of useful here. Okay. So let's do the first one though. So the first part here, if you're looking for percentile, okay, so remember that okay, yeah. So the percentile here will be the value below or the number of data points below. Okay, divided by total times 100, right? That's what you're essentially doing. To answer question A. So we locate 51.2. 51.2 is right here. I'll try to figure out how many data points you have below it. Okay. Can you help us out? What do we have? $39, right? Okay. Everybody agree with that? Can somebody confirm that? 39. So we're counting from 51, right? Backward. All the way to the beginning.
I think it's 40.
I got 43.7.
43 points as the final answer. So we want to count the number of data points. So like for example, the number of items you have below the number we are interested in. The number we're interested in is this one, right? So and we've been able to locate it here, 51.2, right? So how many data points do we have below it?
Oh, you want to just count that?
41. 41. Somebody else got something different?
About 45.
45?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to confirm one of the answers twice.
Well, are you kind of like the number?
It's 41. Okay, so we have 41 then. So let's go with 41 since two people have 41.
Where do you get 41 from?
Just count like after 51.2.
Yeah, well, like that's 25 in the first half and 20, that's 45.
It's rows of
How many do we have on a row?
9.
9? 10? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. 4 times 9 is 36. Okay. So we, in addition to the 6, we have 37, 38, 39.
And then
Oh,
41.
40 and 41. Okay. Exactly. So we're using 41. So 41 all over the total is 117. Multiply that by 100. What do you have?
35.04.
Okay. Anybody got something different? So this will be 34.0 or 35. 35.04 percentile. Right, that will be the percentile position for that value. And so, some in the text, you could see it written like this. Right? It's the same way of writing the same. Okay, I see this is now very, very clear. So let's try this. You all do this for me. Let's see if we can get many people having step by step. What is the percentile value of 58.1? You know, work with somebody beside you. I discussed it if you want. What will be the percentile value for 58.1? Making it up. So see. Let's see if we can have many people having the same value. Again, you're counting the number below divided by total times 100. Let us know if you got an answer. Take like 3 or 4 and see.
I got 57.26.
57.26. So let's say here, I think I can multiply. So one suggestion is 57.26. Thank you. Anybody got this or something different?
I got the same.
You got the same thing? Okay. Anybody else? The same thing? Okay.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Why do we use the number below? Isn't that giving us the percent then for that number and not the one that we're looking?
Yeah, so that is a good observation. So the definition of percentile will be the performance. So if I say somebody scored on the 30th percentile, right? I'm saying somebody performed more than 30 people in that group, right? If I say, so you are checking if somebody performed more than 30 people, so 30 people below, right? Not from 30. 30 percentile is the position of that person. So if you perform at 30th percentile, you perform more than 30 people below. Okay, so the other way around, so if you come down to the person below, you might be shortcutting it. If you go down above, you are extending it. So again, the result is approximate, right? It's not exact, it's approximate, but the consideration is, okay, if you use that particular location, it might contradict that definition, right? It might contradict the definition that people, this person, because by the time you get the percentile for this number, this is 8.1, your explanation is that 58.1 is above certain number of data, right? Yeah, so it's below, but again, these are all rounded off calculations. All right, I hope that helps. Anybody has got something different from this value? No? Okay, so we're going to use this and let's walk through it just to be sure that we're all okay with this. So you're using the number below, you have 9 on a row. We've checked that before. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here we're going to do 9 times 7, right? That would be, what would that be? 72? Sorry, 63. 63? Okay, thank you. So 63, so if we stop at this row, we have 63. Then we're going to count to the next. So we have 64, 65, 66, 67. Right? So we have 67 here. So we're going to be doing 67 divided by the total, which is 117 times 100. Okay, does that give us 57.26? Yeah. Okay, so we have 67 divided by the total, which is 117. All right, so that gives us 57.26. Okay. Okay. Is this still confusing to anybody? So this answer is correct. So just the number below, okay. And I will be grading the number below. But if you have, would you have a reason to do the exact number? Did you see that in your textbook or something elsewhere?
What was that?
The question you asked about what are we doing below? Did you have idea of doing the exact number somewhere in a textbook, or you're just thinking about it?
That's just how I've done it in the past.
Okay.
So I was, because like, I was looking back at the notes from
Yeah.
last week,
Okay.
and when we were doing like the 25th percentile,
Uh-huh.
if we do it this way, we're getting two completely different numbers.
Okay.
So it was like, I'm just confused. I'm confused, like kind of on process of it, that's all.
Okay, okay. So for this computation, you do the number below. Actually, so all these things, as I keep saying, they are all approximations. Some textbooks, we actually say add 0.5 here to the number below. Some textbooks say add 1, like others are, because these are all approximations, okay? But what I'm emphasizing for you in the class is count the number below, divide by total, multiply by 100. Okay, that's my emphasis for the class. So, because when you're doing this hand computation, you're kind of rounding up a lot of things. It might not be 100%. So, this is the formula I have. Okay, so of course, the 30th percentile will be the same way we worked before, isn't it? Right? And let's go ahead and do it together. So for the 30th percentile, again, if you use that formula, the number you're getting is the position, right? So let's say the position, let's write that way. Let's say position of the 30th percentile, right, will be the percentile, which is 30 divided by 100 times, let's use n plus 1. And here is 117. So if I add 1, that will be 118. Okay. If we simplify this, that will be like 0.3 times 118. Somebody help us with an answer here.
35.4.
35.4. Thank you. So 35.4 will be the position of the data of interest. So I'm going to go back here and then we count to 35.4. And so here we'll be interested in taking the 35th plus the 36th value. I'm going to take the average, right? So we have 9 on each row. 9 times, let me try to focus. 9 times what will be the closest? 9 times 4?
Because that's 36, and then subtract 2, that's your 34th position. Subtract 1, that's your 35th position.
Okay, okay,
So it's 50 and 50.
okay. So, okay, so 39 will be 27, isn't it? So maybe we can count to that. So this is 9, 18, 27. The next will go to 36, so we can count maybe 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. And we're looking at the 35th position and 36. Is that correct? Yeah, 35th and 36. So that is 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. So we're going to be adding these two together. So plus 50.4. So we have 50 plus 50.4. That gives us divided by 2. That 50.2.
Yeah.
Right. So that becomes the answer. Okay, so I'm teaching you these averages. If you do it any other way on the quiz and have some explanation, I will look at that and read it if it's just fine. But again, understand that everything we're doing by hand here is just approximations. There is no exact value to this. Okay, questions or concerns before we move to something else?
Where did the 1?
Where is the, okay, so we are using the formula, we're trying to use the formula. Okay. Okay, sorry, wait. We are using the formula percentile all over 100 times n plus 1. Right? So since n is 117, you added 1 to it to make it 1. Okay. Any other question on this? All right. So I am not particular about this as I keep mentioning. These are approximation and different authors kind of present different things. Some authors will remove that plus 1. That's not really part of the formula. It's added to kind of help with the random. Are we comfortable with this? Anybody have any question about this one? Okay, so after this class, I'm having a session, an office hour immediately after, right? So you can come in and we'll talk more about anything we do in class. So every class that happens, right? And you can also go and sign up online. Where it is. You can also sign up online using this, right, for a 30-minute session. That will also work. So I'm going to move ahead now, if there is no question. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to the next section, section 2.2. So what I'm doing is I have I'm picking key questions from each section just to emphasize the class teaching. You study online for more details, right? Okay, in section 2.2, the key thing there is box plot. Box plot. This is called box plot. That's the key thing. And the box plots, and I think we should answer the second question first. In the box plot, the smallest value, of course, is the minimum. This is the maximum. Okay. This line here is your Q1. This is your Q2, and this is Q3. Okay. So if we want to get the 5-number summary here, the minimum will be 7, isn't it? The maximum will be 19. What will be Q1? 10, right? Just keep it up that way. And Q, what will be Q2?
14.
14, good. And Q3?
17.
17, okay. So this is just straightforward. All right, so but that kind of maps out where the question of box plot is. The one will give us a little thinking will be the first question. Okay, so let me keep this a little bit if you're writing. And let's move up back to question 1. So for question 1, the first question says, what quarter has the largest spread, right? So I'm taking this as the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter. Okay. So what quartile has the largest spread?
First quarter.
The first, yeah. Okay, any idea, any suggestion other than first? So the first quarter starts from the minimum to Q1, right? So if I want to get the spread here, I'll just subtract them, right? So let's subtract 32 minus 15.
17.
17, okay. You will notice that it's difficult for me to calculate manually, mentally, sort of. So the second quartile will be between 32 and 42, right? If we subtract that, it's obviously 10, isn't it? And the next one will be between 42, the third quarter will be between 42 and 60. What do we have? Subtract that. 60 minus 42. 18. Okay. Somehow we don't talk about the fourth quartile, right? But assuming we are to do it, the difference between the Q3 and the maximum is that is 12, right? Isn't it? Yeah, so if you talk about the spread in terms of the quartiles, the biggest spread will be 18, of course, right? So we are going to say here the third quartile has the biggest spread. Let me use red. Third quarter or the third quarter will be better. Quartile will be exactly 5%. Now, what is that spread? We just found that it's 18. The interquartile range is simply Q3 minus Q1. Okay. So whatever value you have in Q3 minus the value you have in Q1 will give you the interquartile range. So over here we have 60 minus 32. 28, right? All right, thank you. So the interquartile range is 20. Question on box plot. And I believe my colleague touched a little bit of this last time, right? No? No? Okay, so it's a good thing we are kind of doing that. Okay. So in that case, let me emphasize the explanation again. So this diagram is the box plot, right? The lowest bar here is the minimum. Okay. Inside that box, it must not be, it could be drawn this way, right? It doesn't matter, but whatever is the beginning point here is your Q1, the end point here in that box is your Q2, is your Q3. Wherever the middle line is drawn, it could be in the center exactly, it could be towards the left, or it could be towards the right. Whatever is drawn, that is your Q2. Okay. And then if you put in a whisker here, this marks your maximum. Right? And you put in one here, this marks your minimum. Okay, so you see from the box plot, you can pick up the 5 number summary just as before. Okay. Yeah, so that to answer this question 2, that is what we do. But for question 1, the spread is just talking about what is the gap between these data. All right, so let's repeat that part again. So what is the gap between the data points? So we know that this is minimum, right? We know that this is Q1. We know this to be Q2. And we know this to be Q3, right? And this is maximum. So this is saying which quarter, because this is divided into 4 quarters, right? From the minimum to Q1 is the first quarter, right? From Q1 to Q2 is the second quarter. Okay, from Q2 to Q3 is the third quarter. And then from Q3 to the maximum is the fourth quarter, right? So the question, the first part of the question is just saying which of these segments has the biggest spread, right? So what we simply do is to take out, subtract the values, right, at the beginning and at the end of each quarter. So for the first one, 32 minus 15 gives us 17. So we know that the spread of the first quarter is 17. For the second one, 42 minus 32 gives us 10, right? So we know that the spread of the second quarter is 10. For the third one, 60 minus 48 gives us 18. So we know the spread of the third quarter is 18. And the fourth quarter, the spread will be 72 minus this, which will be 8, right? So looking at it, then we conclude that the one with the highest spread or the biggest spread is the third quarter, which has 18. Okay, yes.
Question about from the homework questions. How would you do a percentile box plot?
Okay, so on the box plot, so this will be your 25th percentile, right? This will be 50th percentile, and this will be 75th percentile, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Q1, Q2, and Q3. But if you're asked to find this exact percentile, then you're picking the numbers you have in those locations, of course, right? But if you have in between, then you want to look at it and estimate. So if I have somewhere, if I have let's say 30th percentile, right? I know that this place is Q2 and I know this is Q1. So I could imagine that spread and kind of, okay, it depends on the question, right? You could use the formula we've been using before to solve that. If that is what it's asking you, right? You can use this formula to get the exact value, right? If you have percentile, you are giving your asked to find the 30th percentile, do percentile over 100, n plus 1, use that to get a value here, right? But if what it's asking you to do is the first part that we did here, right? If it's this first part, I doubt it will ask for the first part. Which one is it asking for?
It's asking.
The second part is asking you to find a particular percentile, right? So you just use this formula to compute that. Okay. All right. Any other concern or question about this? About box plots? Okay. So since my colleague did not go through this before now, and I am kind of going through it as if he had done that, meet me after class if you still have concern, and we can walk through it again slowly. Okay. But this is a typical question that you find on this section. All right, so the next part here is the spread is measures of center and measures of dispersion. You covered this, right? Did you all calculate mean median mode with Professor Tan? You did that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, did you all cover standard deviation and
We didn't cover how to find it.
say that again?
We didn't cover how to find it, like the equation.
We didn't cover that question.
Oh,
We just
kind
covered
of
what it-
work it manually. Okay, so we're gonna go through that very quickly, yeah? So let me move this and include that here. So let me say question 1. Let's say variance and standard deviation. Okay. Let's do this one. Let me move it. Let's start. Okay, let's start with the first one. I'm going to use simple numbers to do this very quickly. In the homework, you find a little bit more number. So let's assume we have the data point 2, 4, 8, 5. Okay, just something very simple that we can use. The mean, of course, is, and I'll start bringing in the notation now. Let's write it in number first, and then we write the notation. The mean, okay, and I'll say sample mean. Is given by this symbol X bar, right? Okay, population mean is given by the symbol mu. Okay. All right, so most often you're asked to calculate the sample, but whenever you're asked to calculate the population value, is more or less theoretical, because in real life, you never get everybody. You just take a sample to do your estimation. So the sample mean here is given as sum of all your data. So I'm using Xi as our data. So in this case, Xi will be X1, X2, X3, all the way to the number of data you have, right? So if you match them, your X1 could be 2, your X2 will be 4, your X3 will be 8, and then you continue to whatever number of data you have. So we're using Xi to represent the range of values of numbers, right? So I'm saying sum of the data divided by how many they are. That is the formula for computing the mean. Okay. So sum of the data, you have 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 5. We have 4 data points, isn't it? So this will be, what would that be?
4.75.
4.75. Okay, so the total is what? This is 6 plus 8, 19. Okay, so you have 19 all over 4, and then you get 4.75. Okay, I would like to make this a round number. Let's make this 6 instead. Okay, so if we make it 6, then that will be 20, right? Yeah, so that it will be easy for us to compute and focus on the method, not the numbers. Okay, so if you add up that, you have 20, and divide that up, and you get 5. That'll be better. So this is the notation, sum of the data point divided by how many they are. So we have the mean, right? Okay. So for the population symbol, I mean, the population mean is still the same thing, right? The only thing here is I'm going to write N here, indicating that this is population I'm dealing with, the capital letter N. Okay. But technically, the computation comes out the same. So sometimes the population formula and the sample formula comes out the same way. Okay, any question on the mean here?
So the population mean is always just a whole number though.
Yeah, so
So like if the sample mean was 4.75, 4 changes the population mean would still be 5 because it would be a whole number.
Okay, so let's say sample mean is 5, right? Let's keep it at 6. Oh, so this will be 6. So let's keep it at 6, right? So that will be 20, right? So the population mean and the sample mean will come out the same way if you are given a set of data, right? Does that make sense? Right, so the population will be everybody that, so let's say, for example, I want to do a research in this class, everybody in the class make up the population because I'm interested in just this class alone, right? But if I want to take a sample out of the class, then I can select some people, okay, to make it my sample, right? Yeah, so, but what you will notice is that when I give you a question and say calculate the population mean, calculate the sample mean, the result will come out the same way because I'm giving you a set of data, right? That is, so for example, this is my sample, this is my set of data. So if you're going to compute the population mean from here, you're going to get exactly the same thing as the sample mean. Okay, this will become better, clearer, while we are making this emphasis. If we do variance and standard deviation, you see the slight difference. So this is the population mean in this case. What would be the median? Any quick answers? So will it be 4 plus 8? Between in the middle? No? What should we do differently?
We should order the.
We should order them. So that is the common mistake, right? So we should rather do 4, 6, 8. And then, so we are adding the 2 in the middle, right? So we are doing 4 plus 6 divided by 5. So again, the median is 5. Okay. And the mode is the one that occurs most, right? What is the mode here? No, right? I shouldn't say 0. 0 is a number. 0 wouldn't be the mode because 0 is a number. 0 can actually occur more than any other number. So that would become my answer, right? So if all the numbers have the same frequency, have the same value of occurrence, so there's no mode. No one occurred most. They are all occurring once. Any question on this? Okay. So if you need formula for the median, then the formula will be if it is even, to find the position, and okay, let me not do that because that would just complicate things a little bit. So that will be n divided by 2. Some people say n plus 1. I don't want to go through all that difference formula again. So just do it manually this way. I think that will be more straightforward. If it's odd, of course, you have a clear number in the middle and that will become your median. If it is even, divide it in the middle and you have your value, okay? Okay, so what if actually you have a frequency distribution and not a simple expression like this? What if my data sample, let me use black now. What if my data sample is repeated? So let's say I have, instead of this, I have 2, 4, another 4, 8. Let's say one more 4, really. Let's say one more 4, and then I have 8, another 8, and then I have 1, 6. Let's work with this. I hope it comes out well, but that will be fine. So if we have this and we are going to solve for the mean, we have this simple data point and we're going to calculate for the mean. Then let me use right. Then the mean, of course, the sample mean will be 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 8 plus 6 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, isn't it? Help me with calculator here. What do we have on the numerator?
36.
36. Thank you. Anybody got something different from 36? No? Okay, so when we divide this up, what do we have?
5.14.
5.14, thank you. Anybody got something different? Okay, so let's take this to B. So what if I rearrange? So this is what we have done. And the formula here, as before, is sum of your data. The formula here is sum of your data divided by how many they are. I could rearrange this slightly to get a different formula. So what if I do a frequency table, really? This is my data point, and this is frequency indicating how many times they are occurring, right? So I have two, let's keep it in order now, 4, 6, and 8, right? Let's move this down a little. So 2 is occurring once, 4 is occurring 3 times, 8 is occurring, 6 is occurring once, and 8 is occurring twice, right? I could decide to find the sum, or rather the product. Let me see if I can move this down. Is it possible? It's not working out. Oh, okay, maybe it's not working. So if we move this, okay, I will not mess with this. Let's just go ahead. I was trying to create a space where I can claim these bits and rewrite it a little bit over there. So if we do frequency times the data point, then I'm going to have 2 times 1, that is 2 here. 4 times 3 will be 12. 6 times 1 is 6. 8 times 2 is 16, isn't it? Okay, so I could get the same answer by doing this as the sum of the frequency times the data divided by the sum of the frequency. Right? Yeah, because if I add the frequency column, then I'm going to get, so this is the sum of frequency is equal to 7, isn't it? And if I add the frequency times data, the frequency times data, then this is going to be equal to 36 as well, right? So if you plug in the same way, you are getting the same answer. So it means your sample mean is equal to 36 divided by 7, which gives you the same 5.1. Okay. So what we're saying in essence is that if you have a frequency distribution, right, you approach the mean with this formula. If you just have a simple mean, you could do it with the first one. Any concern on this one? Okay, so let's go ahead and touch variance and a standard deviation. If we cover that, that will be okay. We have 5 minutes. We hope to do it with that.
We only have 3. That clock's wrong.
Sorry, say that again.
We only have 3 minutes. The clock's wrong
Is this my clock wrong
on the computer.
on the computer? So we're supposed to end by 10:45, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And it's
10:42.
10:40.
Sorry,
10:42.
Clock on the computer's wrong.
on the computer, on the clock on the computer is wrong. So is that so?
So we get out in like less than 2 minutes.
Okay. So let's introduce the standard deviation and the variance very quickly with that 3 minutes. Okay. So we emphasize the formula here. I think we can actually do one and do that. Okay. So the variance, right? Okay, please don't park. I know the next class will be by 11, right? So you have 15 minutes in between to get over. So please don't park so be able to get something that the variance, the sample variance. is given as this symbol, right? And it is the data minus the mean square divided by n minus 1. Okay, so this is where those differences comes. And the population variance is given as this. And it is the data minus the mean, and so this time population mean, all squared divided by n. Okay, so you have a slightly different result when you do the population and the sample variance here. Okay, so you take note of that. The standard deviation for the sample is given as S, and it's just the square root of the variance. So we could do x minus x bar all squared divided by n minus 1, and we're taking the square root. And the population variance, population standard deviation, is given as the square root of what you have at the sample mean, at the sample variance. So this is that situation where when you calculate the population variance, the population results and the sample result, this is that situation where you have different answers. Okay, so this is variance, and this is standard deviation. Okay, the rest is what we have just done. You know the mean, you subtract it from the value, and then divide by n minus 1, and then you just have the answer. It's more or less plugging in. All right, so with this, I believe you should be able to solve the first part of the homework in Unit 2. By next class, we cover whatever we have in Unit 3, and it will be done by Saturday. Okay? I have from now till the next 1 hour, 30 minutes for explanation. Oh, okay. Let me see what is going on. Yeah, it's supposed to show up, say, use the pass.
And it showed me on my orientation.
It didn't show it.
And like on the calendar, or no, for the upcoming one, it shows me here
Shows you can use it for the
for like this month, but it never. shows orientation.
Okay, so I would say maybe the problem is because maybe the homework was set up before the late pass was implemented.
Okay,
I think that is the, so maybe this started because when you sent me that email, I went ahead and tweaked it. I think that's why it's showing up for other ones. But the one that is currently so 2.2 is not passed,
no,
I think. So it's showing in 2 points, 2 point something section. Sorry, can you scroll up a little bit? But it's not showing on 2.1. Oh, it's showing on 2.1, right?
Yeah.
So what is the problem?
my problem's on the first homework
Okay.
and the orientation.
Okay.
Cause like,
Okay.
I didn't know that we could redo questions,
Okay.
and so I missed questions that I like knew how to do.
Okay.
And so I wanted to get the points back for this one, and then I didn't have my open math account. When the orientation quiz was due, because I didn't know about it.
Okay. So I'm gonna just go ahead and extend that. Okay.
Okay,
First section for everybody,
okay,
right? So that way you can do it for free.
okay,
Okay,
for
so-
this one and the orientation quiz.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can do that. So I think it's because it was implemented afterwards that it was not sure.
okay,
Okay,
perfect.
I will take care of it.
Okay, thank you. So should I just check that like by next class kind of thing?
Later today.
Okay,
I
perfect,
should do it after. Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to activate that. I think it's because it was set up after I mean, I corrected that when she sent me an email. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to extend both the orientation and the homework and the first section of the homework, right? Section 1. Did you pass this current due dates? Maybe it should be due with the same time with other ones or something. That way to open it up, okay?
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
You're welcome.